One thing some people might remember from the quarterback issues the Broncos dealt with during the 2020 NFL season. In fact, 1 week, they didn't have an available quarterback on the roster at all. After all their quarterbacks were exposed to COVID-19, the Broncos were desperate for someone to fill in against the Saints in Week 12. That person: wide receiver Kendall Hinton. Hinton was an undrafted free agent out of Wake Forest, where he played as quarterback for 3 seasons and then wide receiver for 2 seasons. He made it onto the Broncos' 90-man training camp roster but was cut in September 2020. He later rejoined on their practice squad on November 4, 2020, just weeks before he would end up making his unexpected NFL debut. More: how the Broncos QBs tried to fool NFL's COVID protocol, which led to Kendall Hinton starting. Here's a look back at Hinton's performance last year, along with how he's doing this season as a wide receiver. When quarterback Jeff Driscoll tested positive for COVID-19 at the end of November 2020, it was revealed that Drew Lock, Brett Rippon and Blake Bortles came in close contact with him and were not wearing masks. They were ruled out for Denver's Week 12 game against the Saints because they had violated the NFL's COVID protocol. Introducing today's contagious disease practice squad elevation. Wr Kendall Hinton. Picked.twitter.com/GV1GDCNTTC. The Broncos were desperate at the position, so they called up Hinton from their practice squad. Since Hinton had played quarterback for 3 years at Wake Forest, the Broncos allowed him to take over the role for the week. The Broncos wanted the game to be postponed, but the NFL refused to do so because the team's quarterbacks had knowingly broken COVID protocol. More: who is Kendall Hinton? The 31,3 loss to the Saints ended up being Hinton's only game in 2020. He only completed 1 of 9 passes for 13 yards. He threw 2 interceptions on top of that. Additionally, he rushed for 7 yards and scored no touchdowns. Hinton didn't let this blowout game stand in the way of him improving his skills as a wideout this season. "I knew that New Orleans game would probably be my last game as a quarterback," Hinton said, via the Denver Post. "But I also knew there was a lot of work to do at wideout. I knew I had potential and that if I continued to develop, you never know where you're going to be." Glowing star: Kendall Hinton's a legit WR. Glowing star. Pick.twitter.com/LKXD2. To more. Fantasy injury update for Broncos, Browns Week 7 Thursday Night Football. As a wide receiver this year, Hinton has appeared in 4 games. In his first game this season against the Jaguars in Week 2, which the Broncos won 23-13, he had 15 receiving yards for 1 catch. He missed Week 3's win over the Jets, but has played in the 3 most recent games since. "We know, but why you low st? But this at Kendall Hinton two-toe tap didn't get enough love." Pick.twitter.com/N17U9XTCXN. Against the Ravens, Hinton had 13 yards. Against the Steelers, he had 25 yards and a touchdown, the only one of his NFL career to date. And against the Raiders, he caught 5 passes for 37 yards.